Hello everyone, this is Garbotoxin TCG, and today I'm showing y'all a big passion project I've been working on for the past few weeks, and I plan on working on maybe for the next years. So this is kind of a mix between uh, an alternative format and a creative game design project. Basically, I plan on remaking every card made in the Gen 9 block or the Scarlet and Violet era into as if they were made in Generation 3. So basically, I'm using the modernization of the current Pokemon TCG with the power level, the game design philosophy, and just the general rules ritual players love from the Gen 3 era. Now I'll start things off by explaining the big differences between the Gen 3 era and the Gen 9 era, starting with the rules. So, starting turn 1, there's a lot of things that's different that we have right now. For starters, the player going first does not draw at the start of their turn. The player going first cannot play a supporter card. Now, we have the same thing right now, but yeah, they cannot play a supporter card. And the both players put their basic Pokemon face down before the coin flip. Then, the winner of the coin flip must go first, instead of flipping a coin before placing the Pokemon, and the player that wins the coin flip choose between going first or second. Also, the player going first can attack on turn 1. This is really important because some Pokemon that would be unviable in the current format can be a lot stronger in the Gen 3 era. Pokemon that search your deck for Pokemon and put them on your bench or in your hand. Pokemon that search your deck in general. Pokemon that does chip damage or put a status condition can be extremely important. Just general support Pokemon or Pokemon that does chip damage in general are really good and better since they can attack on turn 1. Also, fossils are considered basic Pokemon in the rigging setup. You can put a fossil face down as your starting Pokemon. And actually, you must if it's the only thing. The next big thing is that burn is kind of different. Before burn was you flip a coin. If tails, you put 2 damage. And there's no removal. So it's just like poison. But right now, it's 2 damage. Then, if you lose the coin flip, it stays, and if you win the coin flip, the burn is removed. So burn is permanent, but the damage is not confirmed compared to right now. Also, back then, supporter stadiums and tools had their own trainer subtypes, but items did not. Right now, supporter stadiums, items, and tools all have the subtype. So you can see I've highlighted some rules. Basically, the highlighted rules will be what will be taken from each era. A lot of things taken from Gen 3. It's mostly to replicate the Gen 3 era, but I like how the modernized game separates their trainers. Rules are not the only thing that's different between Gen 3 and Gen 9. I'd say the biggest thing is how the Pokemon themselves have changed. Comparing two Stage 2 right here, actually 2 different pairs of Stage 2, the EX Stage 2 back then had approximately 150 HP, but Gardevoir EX right here has more than double the number of HP. Gardevoir EX is actually considered too weak kind of Stage 2. It has 310, and a lot of other Stage 2 EX have 330, 340. Blastoise EX was kind of considered in the middle range. 150 was kind of the general consensus for Stage 2 EXs. Also, we can see damage. Hyper Whirlpool is a 4 energy attack that does 80 damage, while Miracle Force is a 3 energy attack that does 190. If we compare in the non-EX, even then, Dark Tyranitar has 120 HP and was kind of considered bulky at the time, but Kingambit is in the middle range with 170 HP. So it's 50 more HP and more than double for the normal one Pokemon, and more than double for the EX. We can also see that it's not just power level, the general design of the card change. Abilities back then were separated in 2 different categories. They could either be a Pokepower, which were more of the active abilities. So ability that you chose to activate. You say, I will activate this right now. Pokebodies were more passive abilities. Abilities you didn't choose to activate, abilities that stayed active in general. For example, King Gambit's leadership ability would kind of be considered a Pokebody right now, back then, because you don't choose for your basic gun to do 30 more damage. It stays that way. Your basic gun will always do 30 more damage. So to put those differences into design, I have 4 examples of how it could affect the current game. So for Armor Rouge, it's just I tweaked the design. I kept the Fire Off ability as a Poke Power, and I kept the Flower Cannon, but I powered it down. But also I just added an attack. Back then, Pokemon sometimes had 4 or 3 attacks, or not necessarily attack, but also like 4 or 3 effects, either attacks or power or bodies. It was not just 1 or 2, sometimes it was more. So I added, for example, a 3rd attack on Armor Rouge. For Squovet, this example is just I powered it down. I decreased its HP from 60 to 40. I decreased its damage from 20 to 10. And the Nestache ability is now a Nestache Poke Power, which, as you can read, it can't be used if the Pokemon is affected by a special condition. Back then, almost all Poke Powers were stopped by special conditions. This adds a nice variance to the game. Sometimes, I just change the whole card. For example, this Breloom right here is just 1 for 60. There's no there's no reading. You read Macross 60. That's it. What was fun about Gen 3 is almost all the cards could be read. You can read almost all the cards and basically design a deck around it, or thinking how it could be played in a deck. So I changed Breloom from Macross 60 damage to Pre-Dawn Strike, which is similar to a Breloom we had in the Sun and Moon block, and added the F-Explorer Pokebody to give a sleep condition when it's damaged. The 4th example is kind of simple. I just didn't change the cards. Youngster has an effect really similar to a supporter card we had in the Gen 3 era. So it does not need to be powered down. It does not need to be more text. It just needs it's fine as is. So either I tweaked the design and added something, either I powered down the card, either I just changed the whole design, or I just kept the card as is. Most of the time, keeping the card as is for trainer cards. But it's not just that the Pokemon are bigger, it's stronger, and have less text on them. The game is much different gameplay-wise right now than it was back then. Professor's Research is a card that makes you discard your hand and draw 7, and was printed in the Black and White era, in the X and Y era, in the Sword and Shield era, and in the Scarlet Violet era. This card dumps your hand, putting all your cards in your discard pile, and makes you draw 7 cards, looking at 7 new cards. Because of this really strong effect that resents your hand and makes you look at a lot of new cards, a lot of other supporters are considered too weak to be played right now. Pokekid, for example, was a card printed in the Sword and Shield base set, and was printed at the same time as the Professor's Research. It was not really good and not played at all, because instead of using your supporter to search your deck for a Pokemon, you could just use a supporter to draw 7 new cards, and most probably drawing a card that could make you search for the Pokemon you want, like Quick Ball or Evolution Sense, or just make you draw into the Pokemon you want after all. Celio's Network is basically a powered down version of Pokekid. It makes you search for your deck for any Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX, and it saw a ton of play during the EX era. Steven's Advice would be a card I would compare it the most to Professor's Research. It does not dump your hand. It does not make you look at 7 new cards. At maximum, makes you look at 6 new cards. But it depends on the opponent's board. An opponent could play to make your Steven's Advice weaker, and it has the condition of being unable to be played if you have 6 or more other cards in your hand. Steven's Advice is basically blocking itself from being loop played. Chances are you cannot play 2 Steven's Advice in 2 turns in a row if your opponent has a large enough board. Professor's Research can just be played turn after turn after turn, right? If you play Professor's Research, you draw 7 cards, you're fine. you're probably finding another support that makes you draw a card. Nemona is another good example. She just makes you draw a card, 3 cards. And this type of cards exists also since Black and White. Tierno, Sharon, Ao, etc. We can compare it to TV Reporter, which is also a weaker version of Nemona. TV Reporter makes you draw 3 cards, then discard 1 card. This was played a ton too, almost the same, if not more, but almost the same as in Stadio's Network. Instead of, when you had big enough hand and you didn't want to play Steven's Advice, the Reporter was a great card to make your hand bigger and just making you look at more cards that could be interacted with the rest of your hand. Nemona right now is just not really good. You draw 3 cards, but that's nothing compared to double +1 that Professor Research gives you. Ayano would be, or like Anne or Marnie, were kind of the only card that like could be played at the same time as Research, because at the start of the game it makes you draw 6 cards, but also end disruption is still important. When your opponent plays Professor's Research, who could play Professor's Research almost any turn, making disrupting their end in general is really good and could just help them stop moving fast with the research. Same thing as Rocket's Admin. Rocket's Admin is basically really, not the same thing, but it's really, really, really similar to Ayano. And it was played a lot, but doesn't change the fact that Steven's Advice, Leo's Network, TV Reporter, etc. were seeing play. Copycat is the same card as back in the day. Shuffling your hand into your deck and drawing 1 card for each card your opponents have in their hand. But when the opponent plays Professor's Research, you could say, yeah, shuffle draw 7 is pretty good, right? But it was not as good as back then. Back then, since Steven's Advice makes you have a big hand, and TV Reporter and Silio's Network just adds card on top of it, Copycat could be a shuffle draw 6, but it could also be a shuffle draw 7, 8, 9, 10, and more. Copycat right now, yeah, can make you draw 7 cards if your opponent plays Research and does not play cards afterward. But if they see 7 new cards, they're probably going to play a few, even discarding some of them with Ultra Ball and other cards like that. So Copycat, most of the time in the current format, is shuffle draw 4, shuffle draw 3, shuffle draw 2, shuffle draw 5. Because your opponent just emptying their hand and keeping their draw supporters for the next turn. Youngsters is seeing no play. Shuffle draw 5 is almost nothing compared to discard draw 7. But Professor Oak's research is really similar to Youngster. It's the same card. Shuffle your hand, draw 5 cards. But it saw some play still in the format, in the EX RSPK format. Ruby Sapphire to Power Keepers, the whole Gen 3 format. It saw play, even though it can draw less cards than Steven's Advice or Copycat. It's basically Copycat, but you can use it when your opponent has you can use it to draw kind of a nice amount of cards. So Professor's Research basically power creeps most of the draw in the format. And it's not just Research. There's a ton of cards, either Pokemon and items or stadiums or whatever, that just accelerate the game so fast that you need to find new cards every turn, enough to just keep going with your opponent's board. And I'm trying to replicate either the Pokemon with their power level, but also the supporters with how fast they can speed up the game. But at this point, why not just play Gen 3, right? Why am I putting so much effort to make this project? Well, there's a lot of good qualities. There's these 3 big points, but there's also a 4th point I want to bring. The big first one is that there's a lot more Pokemon right now than back then. Right before Diamond and Pearl, there was only, I'm saying only, but still a lot, 386 Pokemon. That's this side, that's this green part right here. Was still a lot, but right now we have 10,010 Pokemon before the DLC, and I'm not even counting regional variants or other forms like Ultra Necrozma and the such. And that's so much more, and it can bring a lot more variety to the species or just how the game is played in general. Because back then, they could make in Gen 3, they could make 5 different Kangaskhan or 6 different Skarmory and stuff like that. And right now, there's a lot more designs, a lot more opportunity to design different effects and cards and bring life to just the world in general of Pokemon. Another good point that the game gives us right now is that just there's a lot more evolution in the UI and the syntax for the past 17 years, almost 17 years, since Gen 3 ended. We can look right here the difference between XP share and XP all. The game just evolved for the cards to look nicer, and cards can say the same effect as back then, but with a lot less word. Now XP share has just like one sentence less than XP all, but it's still a lot closer, better to look at. It's better to just engage with the game, with how the game looks right now. There's also better ways to categorize cards. Now, I'm saying better, but it's not exactly better. It's opinion based, but like right now we have 4 different trainer subcategories, so it's better to like differentiate the cards. We have supporter, tools, items, and stadiums. Items did not add their own category before; they were just trainers. Also, the rule box wording is quite important. It's good for future proofing. Instead of saying EX, Vs, GX, etc., we just say rule box. Now, some cards say EX still, but rule box kind of important if you want to future proof big cards. If you don't separate normal Pokemon and basically special Pokemon. The Dragon type is also really interesting. It's a good way to separate those special Pokemon that could attack with 2 different types with the colorless typing, and it's overall just adds complication, but adds more complexity to the game, and just adds another thing. Now you can say Dragon Pokemon could have their own effects, as well as colorless Pokemon for 2 different cards. The 4th point I want to bring in is also the fact that right now with Scarlet Violet, the game is evolving. The Ruby Sapphire to Power Keepers format will always stay the same. There will not be new cards added. Yeah, the format could evolve, right? Like a player could discover a new way to play a certain deck from 15, 17, 18 years ago. But it will not change the fact that there will not be new cards to reshape the format. But that's what Pokemon gives us right now, right? That's what Pokemon gives us for the past 25 years, right? So the good thing about this project is that I'm currently building cards the moment they're getting revealed. I'm redesigning every card the moment they're getting revealed. I already designed Scarlet Violet base set. I already designed most of the promos, and I'm in design right now for Poly Evolve. And as Pokemon release new sets, this format I'm building will have more cards, and the format will reshape itself every few months. It will add cards every few months. It will evolve every few months. The next good thing is that it's not confirmed if I will do that, but it's a possibility. The game, since the format I'm building with the custom cards is made online, and the cards are available online for download. It's not a game where it's not the same game as you getting cards in packs and you keep the card in your collection. So I can technically change cards with buffs and nerfs if a card is too much. I will try to not change these cards. Like the best thing to do is to have the cards good enough as is. But it's a possibility to keep in mind that the game can also evolve with the past cards as well. So that's basically it. I'm using the modernization of how the cards look right now, the new Pokemon they could give us, and the design that keeps evolving that the game gives us right now, with the power level, the game design philosophy, and just how fun the game was back then, to make this special new format I'm building. Gardevoir EX now has the Poke Power instead of an ability. It does 80 damage instead of 190, and it has 140 HP instead of 310 to match more with how Blastoise EX or the Gardevoir EX back then worked. I basically made every card base set, like I said. They're available on the Google Drive in the Google Drive folder in the description. You can access all the cards. You can look at them. You can download them and make decks with them. Now I'll show you how we can actually play this format, how we can play this break project I've been working on. There's going to be 3 ways to play it that I'm going to recommend. This is the first one. You can use a tabletop simulation, like Tabletop Simulator right here, or Lucky CCG. Lucky CCG is a free option. It's kind of difficult to access right now. I think the site for downloading the game and the servers are still down, or like parts of the server are still down as of the recording of this video. But it's cheap. It's free, and it's used a ton right now by the custom card community just to play custom format in general. Tabletop Simulator is a paid version. It's accessible on Steam for I think $20 or around $20. And I know like YouTube channels like Omnipoke and like I think some other YouTube channels use it to test future formats, but it can be basically a drag and drop away from being a custom card format. There's a ton of like ways to basically Tabletop Simulator. You can play any tabletop on it because you can download 3D models and you can download cards, JPEGs or PNGs on it. So yeah, they're both great ways, and the simplest way to play the game with custom cards right now is to play online because all the cards are downloadable online. The next way is to play with proxies, printed proxies, basically on webcam. So basically, I'm having a Discord server for this, just for the YouTube channel in general, but mostly to play this format. You can join other players there and play with your webcam on your table. And instead of playing with the cards, you can just like remove your bulk or energies, print the card you want to use, and just put the printed cards inside your cards, like how you play with normal proxies. It can be kind of a pain to do this because you need to select your cards in the drive, you need to print them, you need to play them on webcam. But I think it's the most fun way to play the game, I'd say, because you basically look at your card, you can fiddle with your card, you can draw your card, you can basically play it with your hand. And that's why the game is so fun right now. You can play it and have fun with your cards in real life. The third way I'd say is the strangest way to play the game, but I want to work on it being the most accessible ways to play the game. Basically, you can use the original cards, the original Scarlet, the original cards you can find in your pack, but use like a second monitor or your phone to check what the cards are on this format. Because since I'm making every card in the in Gen 9 in Scarlet Violet, all your cards can be accessed in packs or at your local LGS, at your local game store. So you can just play with your card on webcam or Discord and just check the cards. This way is kind of weird right now because like if you read your cards in your hand, they don't say the same thing as what the game does. But I'm planning on working on a site to have every card available with a search function instead of just opening Google Drive folders. So yeah, this version is kind of weird. This version is, I think, the best way to play the game, but it takes a long time to print. But like, let's be honest, like it's a lot less of a pain to print the card to print the cards and put them over proxies than to find and buy Gen 3 retro cards, right? So I guess it's kind of not that much of a pain compared to like playing retro, but it's the most work out of the three. And this one is the simplest way and I think the cleanest way to play the game. It's super easy to download and stuff like that, but you need to understand how to use like ECCG, or you need to have or know how to play a Tabletop Simulator. I know there's a ton of tutorials for both applications, but I'd suggest waiting on me doing a video for Lucky CCG to play the custom game if Lucky CCG servers and the site are back up ever again, right? Now, how can we play the game, right? Because like this is how to play the game, like to put your cards and to play the game. But what's the point, right? So I'll probably organize tournaments on Limitless. I have my Limitless organizer account, so now I can organize tournaments. I really want to do online events on Limitless like right now. Most probably we'll start with webcam play sessions. But want to make online tournaments. I'll probably give out codes or other prizes for the winners. I don't know exactly what to do. I'm open to suggestions, but it will probably start with code cards for PTCG Live. The other way that we can play the game will be during play sessions with the Discord server. The Discord server will be in the description if you want to join. I really want the most players possible, and just if you want to test a deck or just play the format because you think it's fun, I hope the Discord server will be enough for you to basically play the format. Now, if you want to learn more about the project, I have three ways to learn more. You can either subscribe, and I'll make videos on the project and the format for sure in the future. You can follow me on Twitter. For the whole process of Scarlet Violet base set, I posted like 5, 6, 7 cards revealed per day. So when the new set is in production for the EX Era project, I'm basically posting them on Twitters, and just news in general will be posted on Twitters. And you can join the server. You can contact me. You can just talk with other players, and that's basically the where you need to play the game. So all 3 links, well, not the channel. The channel is just right under the video, but all my Twitter account and my Discord account will be in the description. The Discord server will be in the description, and you can join or follow as you please. The next video, the one uploaded at the same time, will be about the cards and like just the cards in general, how I designed them, and what decks can be played around them for the Scarlet and Violet base set format. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hoping you are interested in this project I'm working on, and I really want to have players to test the format to start things with, right? Because like I didn't test that much the format. I mainly just designed the card and made them on Photoshop. So I'm really interested in getting players just to at least start the format, just to like test the format, see what works, what doesn't, and just evolve the format, evolve this project as time goes on. So thanks for watching. The next video will be just right after this one. Have a great night and sleep well.